One of the toughest things about being in this neighborhood is having so many people die around you as a result of gun violence or being murdered. We've had kids in our school be murdered. We've had kids in our church, parents in our church. We're always, it seems like, surrounded by murder and death. And that is probably one of the most traumatic things that I know as a pastor that I have to deal with. The constant breaking of the heart after building relationships with people is tough. And I don't think people understand the roller coaster of emotions that someone who gives their life toward that work is constantly on. It's constantly a roller coaster.
If Jesus saw the disciples toiling and rowing helplessly, why did he delay? I want to know, preacher, what took him so long?
There was this motel across the street from our church that was full of all kind of illegal activity. And so I went to talk to the owner about buying it, and I never will forget what he said to me. There's a church over there, there's a church over here, and he said, what makes you any different that you're gonna be able to do something about what's going on? I took that personal. I ended up eventually going on top of the roof of that motel and staying there for 94 days, refusing to come down.
Pastor Corey Brooks's church may be across the street, but his home is on this rooftop. After the recent shooting of a teenage boy, the pastor decided to take a stand.
You know, to see a young 16-year-old boy with his mouth open, his eyes still open, and his body in a white bag zipped up to his neck.
Let's get ready.
We were able to purchase it and tear it down, and instantly prostitution went down, drug dealing went down, murders went down.
It's time to celebrate phase one, but after this weekend, Monday, we get back on the grind and we start all over again, starting phase two to raise $15 million to build the most magnificent building you've ever seen on the south side of Chicago. God, you said I'm your child, and you said you never seen the righteous forsaken. I want to know, why is it that I feel so forsaken? God, you said you never leave me nor forsake me, but God, I sure feel like there's no one there for me, and I want to know, God, how long?
Hey, come on, we don't even smoke.
If somebody's gonna rob you, they did it already.
They have gonna die already in this store. They have gonna die right here. That's what's gonna happen. You wanna die? Move. I'm at. Oh, shit.
We've had more murders in January than the last 4 years. Let that sink in. That's horrible. And it's in the middle of a pandemic. Our goal at Project H.O.O.D is to make sure that we decrease those numbers. Even though in Chicago, where the numbers have gone up and we're right in the center of all the violence, our numbers right where we are have gone down. And that speaks volumes to say that some of the stuff that we're doing, it is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, working.
It's very easy to take the ill conception that 51 murders, what are they doing? So you have to look at the totality, the universe. How much retaliation do we avert? how much intervention was involved. Look at the follow-up with the family members. How many reports we have, how much follow-up we do, how much retaliation is averted. Then the 51 by far pales in comparison.
It's not the masses of our young children who are destructive and who are shooting and killing. It's a very small fraction of our children.
We had good mentors in our generations. We had street organization with lofty goals. We had initially street organizations with doctrines and belief system that was catered to bettering our community. As generation and generation came about, we fell out of touch with those.
Your children are supposed to be 2 times better than you. See, right now, they're not accepting our point of view because we don't have nothing to show for our point of view. When we turn around and look at our community, where is your progress? We got vacant lots and we don't own no businesses. Very few of us own our homes. When we point to something in our history, we had to point to our parents' history. We had to point to a history beyond what we were. You see what I'm saying? That's a huge gap. And it's up to the generation that created this gap to step to these youngsters and let them know, not in an apologetic way, but in a realistic, truthful manner, that we recognize what we've done. We recognize our failure.
54% of all former inmates, ex-offenders released to Chicago are released to 7 communities. If we weren't here, where would they go? We have a peer mentoring component that we're instituting. And I take that peer mentoring component personally because I did, being incarcerated in the federal system, far more years than I care to recount. My director, Mr. Highsmith, I've known him 55 years. He walked me through the reentry process. I have a job, never had one before in my life. They gave me a W-2 form last week. I never had one in my life. You see, I have housing, suitable housing, credit cards, a vehicle, connections within the community. You see, and I take that peer mentoring component personal because I know what it'll do if you have a good mentor and a good person walking you through that walk when you hear someone to receive you, you see. And so that's unique to Project H.O.O.D, that peer mentoring component.
You know, we want to put together some powerful programs that alter the life and change minds to believe in themselves. You know, take hopelessness out of the psyche of our young brothers and sisters today. Change the rate of suicide. See, suicide comes in a lot of different forms. It's not only that the person will shoot and take their life, but if you take and stifle a person's potential, you done lay here and committed suicide. That man that committed suicide when he stifled his own potential. And it's self-inflicted.
In the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. The 4th watch is 3 to 6 a.m. in the morning. It's the darkest part of the night. The disciples were exhausted. They were miserable. They were tired. They were wondering if they were ever going to survive.
We don't have the community center that's not geared around recreation. We want to build a community center that's around creation, building minds building character. We got enough basketball players. We got enough football players. What we need today is brothers and sisters working to build a strong, powerful, peaceful, and healthy community.
If we can build this facility and house it with the programs necessary to bring about transformation in people's lives, that will make a difference for thousands of families and change generations untold. Every year, every month, every day, we're working hard, we're putting in the things necessary, we're taking responsibility for our situation, we're being accountable, and I believe eventually it's going to tip over, and America is going to know about the work that we do. Our center is going to be built, it's going to become a model, and we're going to be able to help people not just in Chicago, but all across America. I do it by just reminding myself that someone has to make a better future for people. Someone has to sacrifice their life so that other people's lives can be better. And I remind myself just how blessed I am and how fortunate I am for God. Out of all the people that he could use in the world, for whatever reason, he chose me to be on the south side of Chicago in one of the toughest neighborhoods. And that, I'm grateful, because that must mean that God believes that I can do it, or I wouldn't be here.
Isn't it good to know Jesus will show up in your fourth watch? Oh my God. Isn't it good to know when you're exhausted, when you're feeling miserable, when you're tired, when you're wondering if you're going to survive this thing, your fourth watch? Isn't it good to know that the Lord will show up in your fourth watch? That's why I like God, because he always shows not when you want him to, but he comes right in the nick of time. He's a fourth watch God. In my darkest moment, he shows up.